The storm had been raging for hours, the kind that drowned sound and sight alike. Cold wind swept across the barren plain, carrying with it the metallic scent of rain and rust. Nathan Cole pulled his coat tighter and kept walking along the muddy trail, his flashlight cutting weak circles through the night. He had been sent to check the power relays near the edge of Sector 9, a forgotten corner of the colony world. Lizara, but something about the silence felt wrong. The comms were dead, the lightning towers flickered like dying candles, and not even the scavenger drones moved. Then he heard it. A sound so faint, he almost thought it was the wind a whimper, soft and broken, like a child crying far away. Nathan stopped. His breath misted in front of him as he tilted his head to listen. The sound came again, this time clearer, carried by the rhythm of the rain. It wasn't the cry of a human baby. It was thinner, trembling, with a strange echo to it, as if the voice wasn't made for air. He followed it. The beam of his light swept across the wreckage of old cargo pods and metal scraps. Between two overturned crates, he saw a small bundle, something wrapped in dark, wet fabric. The crying came from there. Nathan hesitated. Every story he had ever heard about alien traps came rushing back. Smugglers sometimes used sound decoys to lure rescuers. But then the cry changed. It became a whisper. A single, weak word barely carried through the rain. ... Dotty. Nathan froze. His heart skipped a beat. He stepped closer, knelt, and reached out. The bundle twitched. Carefully, he peeled the soaked cloth away. Inside was a tiny creature, no bigger than a human infant. Its skin was pale blue, translucent veins pulsing faintly under the surface. Large eyes blinked up at him, silver and wet, reflecting the flashlight like mirrors. Its small hands trembled, reaching toward him as if it already knew him. "Daddy?" It whispered again, the word trembling through its tiny lips. Nathan's breath caught in his throat. "Oh, God," he murmured. The baby wasn't human, but it wasn't a monster either. It was fragile, weak, freezing to death. He looked around. No signs of footprints except his own. Whoever left it here was long gone. Maybe smugglers. Maybe its own kind. He didn't know. But he knew one thing: if he walked away, the baby wouldn't survive the night. He took off his jacket, wrapped it around the little being, and cradled it close. The warmth of its skin was fading fast. He could feel its heartbeat uneven, desperate. "You're okay. I've got you," Nathan whispered, not even realizing he was speaking like a father already. The storm roared louder as he carried the baby toward his rover. When he reached it, he set the small bundle inside, started the heater, and tried to scan it with his medkit. The scanner blinked red unknown species. No data found. The baby whimpered again, curling tighter, as if the sound of the rain frightened it. Nathan gently stroked its small head. "It's all right. You're safe now." But then something else happened. His cum crackled to life for the first time in hours. A voice, static-filled but urgent. "Cole. Do not engage. Repeat. If you find the infant, do not." The signal cut. Nathan's stomach twisted. What did they mean, "if you find the infant"? He looked down at the small alien sleeping against his chest. Tiny fingers gripped the edge of his jacket. "They left you here," he whispered. "But you're not alone anymore." He decided to take the rover off the grid and head to his outpost instead of returning to the colony hub. If Command didn't want this child found, there had to be a reason, and none of them could be good. Outside, lightning tore through the sky, painting the hills white. Inside, the baby made a soft cooing noise, its small eyes glowing faintly in the dark, as if something ancient stirred behind them. As Nathan drove, he couldn't shake the feeling that the word "daddy" wasn't random. It wasn't learned. It was as if the child knew him somehow, as if its mind had reached for his before it even saw him. Then a flicker of light appeared on the horizon. Not from the storm, but from the colony patrol drones sweeping the plain. They were searching for something. For someone. Nathan turned off his lights and held his breath. The baby stirred, opening its eyes again. Its gaze was filled with something that wasn't fear, but recognition. "Daddy," it said once more, softer now, like a prophecy whispered to the rain. And in that moment, Nathan felt something shift inside him. Not fear, not pity, but destiny. Because somewhere deep down, he knew this was no ordinary rescue. This was the beginning of something far greater, and whatever the child was, it had chosen him. Outside, the thunder roared like a warning. Inside, the whisper of that single word, "Daddy," echoed through his heart, binding their fates forever. Nathan Cole didn't sleep that night. The storm had finally broken, leaving the world outside silent and dripping. But his mind raced like the thunder still echoed inside his skull. The alien baby the child slept in the thermal pod he had rigged from spare equipment. Its small chest rose and fell slowly, wrapped snug in his jacket. Every few minutes it made a sound, tiny, soft, almost musical. Sometimes a word. Sometimes just a hum that made the lights flicker faintly. He sat by the console, watching the radar, waiting for anything that might explain what he had stumbled into at 0300 hours. The console beeped. A faint transmission, encrypted, repeating in bursts of static. Nathan leaned forward, adjusted the frequency. The voice was clipped and mechanical, but one phrase came through clear. "Infant biotag retrieve terminate human witness." His hands went cold. Terminate. He muted the radio instantly, heart hammering. Whoever sent that message wasn't from his colony command. The encryption looked military, but not Terran. It pulsed in strange intervals, more like a heartbeat than code. He turned toward the pod. The baby stirred, eyes opening slowly. Silver irises shimmered with faint bioluminescence. It blinked, as if sensing his fear. Then it spoke again, this time more clearly than before. "Don't let them. Take me." Nathan nearly dropped his mug. "You can talk?" he whispered. The baby tilted its head. "You heard me." Its voice was faint, but carried a strange resonance, as if part of it existed inside his thoughts. Nathan rubbed his face. Maybe he was losing it. Maybe the lack of sleep was making him hallucinate. But when he looked again, the infant was staring straight into his eyes, calm, aware, and somehow older than it should have been. Before he could respond, a deep hum rolled through the air, the sound of engines cutting low across the plain. He ran to the window. 3 dark shapes moved through the fog patrol drones, black and sleek, hovering silently over the wet ground. Searchlights sliced through the mist. "Damn it," Nathan muttered. He scooped up the pod, careful not to jostle the child, and rushed to the rover. "Hold on," he said, voice tight. The baby's hand gripped his finger surprisingly strong. "Daddy," it murmured, that same word again, like an anchor pulling him through chaos. He powered the rover to life, switched off the transponder, and drove into the canyon trail behind the outpost. The narrow passage cut between cliffs, hidden from scanners. For a moment, the hum faded, replaced by the crunch of tires on gravel and the baby's slow breathing. Nathan felt the tension in his chest ease just a little. But then the baby spoke again, only this time it wasn't to him. Its lips moved soundlessly, and the rover's dashboard flickered. Symbols appeared across the screen, unknown language, glowing faintly blue. The nav computer beeped and rerouted itself to a new coordinate, a red dot deep in the wastelands. Beyond the colony perimeter, Nathan stared at the screen. "You did that?" The baby blinked once and closed its eyes, as if too tired to answer. He didn't understand what was happening, but something told him to follow. So he did. Hours passed. Dawn crept across the horizon, painting the desert in gold and ash. The coordinate led him to the ruins of an old landing site, a forgotten survey station, long abandoned after the first settlers moved deeper inland. Broken antennas jutted like bones from the sand. Nathan stopped the rover, scanning the area. No life signs. No heat signatures. Just silence. He stepped out, the baby cradled against his chest, its warmth faint but steady. The air smelled of ozone and something older, like burnt stone. Then the ground beneath him pulsed. Faint lines of light spread outward from where he stood, tracing circles through the dust. They formed a pattern complex, geometric, alive. The baby opened its eyes, glowing brighter now, and whispered something in a language he didn't know. The air shimmered. A holographic figure rose from the sand, tall, slender, cloaked in faint light. Its eyes burned like twin stars. Nathan stumbled back, shielding the child. "Do not fear," the figure said, its voice echoing both aloud and inside his head. "You have found what we lost." Nathan's throat went dry. "Who are you?" he demanded. The figure tilted its head. "A guardian, or what remains of one." It looked at the baby, its expression, if such a thing could be read, filled with sorrow. "They destroyed our cradle. The child is the last of its kind." Nathan swallowed hard. "And the people hunting it?" "Traitors," the figure said. "They seek to end what they could not control. But now the child has chosen you, human. That bond cannot be broken." The light began to fade, the hologram flickering like smoke. "Wait," Nathan called out. "What do I do?" The figure's final words drifted through the rain. "Protect the voice that calls you father, for through it, the two worlds will meet again." The light died. The desert was silent once more. Nathan stood there, heart pounding, staring at the tiny being in his arms. Its eyes were open, watching him with quiet trust. Somewhere behind them, the hum of search drones returned closer now. He looked toward the rising sun and then down at the child. "All right, little one," he said softly. "Looks like we're running again." The rover's engine roared to life, echoing across the empty plain. The chase had begun, but now Nathan wasn't just a man on the run. He was a father, bound by something older than blood and deeper than species. And as the first drone descended from the sky, the baby reached out a small hand toward it. The air around them shimmered, and the machine froze midair, its lights dimming to nothing. Nathan didn't know how, but he realized one thing for certain. This child wasn't just alive. It was powerful, and the universe had just whispered its prophecy. Through a sin the storm was gone, but the sky above Lesara still looked bruised, streaks of violet and gray curling over the desert like smoke. Nathan Cole gripped the rover's controls tighter, the steering wheel vibrating under his palms. In the back seat, the alien child sat awake now, wrapped in his jacket, silver eyes glowing faintly. Every time thunder rolled in the distance, the lights on the dashboard flickered, as if the weather itself was afraid of the child. They had driven for hours toward the northern canyons, far from any colony signal. The tracker on his wrist blinked red every few minutes, warning him he was out of range. That was the point. Whoever wanted the baby wasn't just searching, they were tracking. The drones that had nearly cornered him last night were gone, but Nathan knew they'd be back with reinforcements. He looked over his shoulder. "You doing okay, little one?" he asked softly. The baby tilted its head. "Okay," it repeated, the word shaped strangely in its mouth. Nathan smiled faintly. "You're learning fast." The child's gaze drifted toward the clouds above them, and for a moment the sky shimmered with faint blue light, thin lines dancing like lightning caught in slow motion. Nathan frowned. "What are you doing?" he whispered. The baby didn't answer, only raised a small hand toward the sky. Then the world stopped. The rover's hum faded. The wind died. Even the dust in the air seemed frozen. Nathan's breath caught as he realized what he was seeing. The clouds had paused mid-drift, lightning suspended like glass veins in the heavens. He turned to the child, who now looked calm, almost serene. "They're coming," it said, voice small but clear. "The bad ones." Nathan's heart pounded. "How do you know that?" "They send thought," the child whispered. "I can feel." The moment shattered with a deep mechanical roar. 3 dropships burst through the clouds, their engines cutting fiery trails across the horizon. Nathan slammed the accelerator, but the rover's power cells sputtered. The storm's electromagnetic field had drained them. "Come on," he hissed, hitting the console. The child looked at him, eyes glowing brighter. "I can help," it said, and touched the control panel. The rover jolted forward as every gauge flared green. Energy surged through the engine like a heartbeat. Nathan barely managed to steer before the first dropship fired. The beam scorched the canyon wall beside them, spraying molten rock. He swerved hard, dust clouding behind. The child didn't flinch. Instead, it raised both hands, and the air outside shimmered. The next blast hit an invisible barrier, scattering like rain on glass. Nathan stared. "What are you?" he whispered. The child's voice echoed softly, layered with another tone older, deeper. "Not what, who." They raced through the canyon until the signal ahead began to beep again. Another transmission, encrypted but weaker. Nathan hesitated before opening the channel. "This is Cole," he said. "If anyone's listening, I've got the infant. They're trying to kill us." A static pause, then a woman's voice came through, urgent. "Nathan, this is Dr. Alira Sen, Bio Division. You need to bring the child to Outpost 7 immediately. It's not safe with you." He almost laughed. "Not safe with me? Lady, your people are the ones dropping plasma fire on my head." "That's not us," she said quickly. "Those ships belong to the Varex Syndicate. They've been hunting that species since the Exodus War. If they find it alive..." Her voice cut out again. Nathan cursed and shut off the link. The child was watching him with quiet curiosity. "They lie," it said softly. "They always lie." Nathan swallowed hard. "Yeah," he said. "I'm starting to believe that." They reached the ridge overlooking a dry lake bed. The dropships circled above, searchlights scanning the terrain. Nathan turned off the rover, hiding under an overhang. "We'll rest here," he whispered. The baby crawled into his lap, eyes glowing softly. For a long while, Nathan listened to the hum of the engines above, trying to plan their next move. Then the child spoke again, voice distant, as if listening to something beyond hearing. "They see us. I can stop them. But it hurts." Nathan shook his head immediately. "No, you don't need to do anything like that." The child blinked. "Daddy?" The word came out trembling, filled with emotion that cut straight through him. A moment later, the sky roared with light. The dropship's engines screamed, then, one by one, they froze mid-air, their hulls cracking with invisible pressure. Nathan stared in disbelief as the ships simply stopped. The clouds above them parted, revealing a ring of bright energy expanding outward. When the sound finally returned, it was only the gentle patter of falling dust. The ships crashed in the distance, smoke curling upward like black spears. The child slumped forward, eyes dimming. Nathan caught it, panic rising. Hey, stay with me." He pressed 2 fingers to its neck. The pulse was faint, but there. He wrapped it in his coat again, whispering, "You did good, little one. You did good." The sky above them cleared, revealing Lysara's twin moons, glowing pale and silent. For the first time in his life, Nathan felt small in a way that wasn't fear. It was awe. This tiny being had stopped the sky itself. He looked down at the sleeping alien child and whispered, "If the universe wants you dead, then it'll have to go through me first." The baby stirred slightly, murmuring a word he couldn't understand. But somewhere in that sound, Nathan heard a promise, a bond not written by nature or science, but by fate. He didn't know what would come next. But he knew one truth as certain as the rain that once whispered Daddy. This child had changed the laws of heaven and earth, and he was now part of that story. GLE, fragile word Daddy. The canyon burned orange under Lysara's twin suns, the light catching on shattered hulls of the fallen dropships. Nathan Cole stood beside the rover, the baby cradled close, eyes sweeping the horizon for movement. Smoke curled upward in silent ribbons. The smell of scorched metal hung heavy. He had no illusions. Destroying 3 Virex ships wouldn't end the hunt. It would only make him their top priority. Inside the cockpit, his comm array blinked again. Another signal weak, irregular, but human. Nathan Cole respond. He hesitated, then pressed transmit. "Go ahead." The voice that answered was ragged, half buried in static. "They're coming from orbit. Orbital hunter craft. You need to move. They're tracking by heat and biosignature." The channel died before he could reply. He looked down at the alien child, now sleeping against his chest, its skin faintly luminescent. Biosignature, he thought grimly. Guess that means you're glowing on every sensor in the sky. He set the rover in motion, steering into the maze of ravines beyond the lakebed. Dust rose behind them like ghosts. Each turn felt tighter, each echo sharper. Somewhere above, engines rumbled a low mechanical growl that vibrated through the stone. The baby stirred, whispering a word he didn't understand. For an instant, the rumble faded, replaced by silence, so complete it made his skin prickle. Then came a different sound, a cry, high and metallic, like a hawk made of iron. He glanced up dark specks moving fast against the sun. "Hunter drones, hold on." He shouted, slamming the throttle. The rover shot forward. Bolts of plasma carved the rock around them, molten shards flying past. The child's eyes opened bright silver, and the bolts bent mid-flight, veering harmlessly into the cliffs. Nathan didn't understand how, only that the baby's power was growing. Too fast, too strong. A sudden explosion rocked the canyon. The rover flipped sideways, landing hard. Pain tore through his shoulder. The baby screamed, the sound rippling through the air like a wave. The world around them shuddered. The drones froze mid-air, their engines whining before falling silent, every light extinguished. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then the baby slumped forward, exhausted. Nathan dragged himself upright, heart pounding. "You okay, little one?" He murmured. No answer, just slow breathing. He tightened the straps on his gear and carried the child out into the sunlight. Above them, the drones hung suspended like dead insects caught in amber. That's when he heard footsteps, real ones. Human boots crunching gravel. A squad of armored figures emerged from behind the ridge, rifles raised, faces hidden behind polarized visors. The insignia on their armor glinted blue and white. Varex Recovery Division. The lead soldier spoke through a helmet mic. "Step away from the specimen, colonist. It's not yours to keep." Nathan backed up slowly, the baby's small form pressed against him. "It's not a specimen," he said. "It's a child." "Incorrect," the soldier replied coldly. "It's property, and it's dangerous." Nathan's jaw tightened. Dangerous to who? To people who left it to die? The soldier raised his rifle. Final warning. The air shimmered before the first shot fired. It never reached him. The bullet disintegrated mid-flight, turning to dust. Nathan blinked, realizing the baby's eyes were open again, awake, aware, glowing brighter than before. "No, stop," he pleaded. But the child didn't hear. Or maybe it heard everything. Light burst outward, silent and blinding. When it faded, the soldiers were gone, only their empty armor remained smoking. The canyon fell quiet again, except for the rasp of Nathan's breathing. He sank to his knees, clutching the trembling child. "You didn't have to," he whispered, voice breaking. The baby looked up at him, eyes full of tears. "Bad people," it said softly, almost apologetically. "Daddy hurt?" He shook his head. "No, buddy. I'm fine." He stood, scanning the ruins. The power that radiated from the child had left scorch marks etched into the rock, like veins of light burned into the planet itself. He realized then Lysara wasn't just a backdrop. The world was reacting to the child. Every burst of emotion triggered energy, reshaping the land around them. Whatever this being was, it wasn't just born, it was meant. That night, Nathan found shelter in a cave overlooking the endless desert. The sky burned crimson with 2 moons rising over the horizon. The baby slept beside him, small fingers wrapped around his hand. He watched it breathe, wondering what kind of future waited for them now. Maybe none. Maybe something beyond human understanding. He thought of the holographic guardian's words. "Protect the voice that calls you Father. For through it, 2 worlds will meet again. Outside, the wind carried faint metallic sounds, scanners, searchlights, the steady rhythm of a hunt that wouldn't stop until they were found." Nathan tightened his grip on the child and whispered to the stars, "Let them come." Because now he knew what they were fighting for. Not survival, not even freedom, but a promise, a single word spoken in the rain that had changed everything. The desert wind had turned cold by morning. Nathan Cole woke to the low hum of the horizon, and the faint breathing of the alien child curled against his chest. The fire had burned to ash, leaving the cave wrapped in blue half-light. For a few stolen hours, they had peace. He almost believed the hunt was over, until he saw the shadow moving against the sunrise. A single ship, smaller than the warcraft before, hovered low above the dunes. Its engines purred instead of roared. Nathan crouched behind a rock, hand resting on his pistol, though he knew it was useless against orbital tech. The child stirred, silver eyes opening. "It's not them," it whispered. "They come. Different." Nathan frowned. "Different how?" But before the child could answer, the ship lowered a landing ramp. A woman stepped out bareheaded, wearing a dusty research coat instead of armor. Her voice carried across the wind. "Nathan Cole, Dr. Alirasan, you called me last transmission. I'm not your enemy." He hesitated. Every instinct screamed trap, yet there was no weapon in her hands. When she drew closer, the child reached out from his arms toward her, not in fear, but curiosity. Alira stopped a few meters away, eyes wide. "You have no idea what you're holding, do you?" Nathan's jaw tightened. "I know it's alive." "That's enough." She shook her head slowly. "It's more than alive. It's the last link between our species and theirs, the voice that can awaken the Echo Network." Nathan blinked. "The what?" "The communication web left by the first ones," she said, kneeling down so the child could see her. "They built bridges between minds across galaxies. This infant carries their seed code. That's why the Varex want it. Control that link, and you control every colony world's thought net." Nathan felt the blood drain from his face. "So it's a weapon?" "No," Alira said softly. "A key. But it only opens to one bond, the first voice it recognizes." Her eyes flicked to Nathan. "It shows you." Before he could respond, the sky tore open with light Virex hunter ships dropping through atmosphere. Dozens this time. Alira's expression hardened. "They found us." She tossed him a small metallic disc. "Signal beacon. If you activate it, it'll call my transport for evac." "I'm not running again," Nathan said. His voice was calm, now steady. The child turned to him, as if waiting for direction. "Nathan," Alira began, but he shook his head. "They've chased this kid since the day it was born. If it ends here, then we end it our way." The first barrage hit the ridge, shaking the cave. Rocks rained down around them. Nathan grabbed the child and sprinted toward the rover while Alira covered their flank with a shock rifle. The baby's skin glowed brighter with every explosion. The light pulsing like a heartbeat sensed with the planet. When they reached open ground, Nathan looked down at it and whispered, "You can stop them, can't you?" The child met his gaze, silent, and touched his chest. Together, the world erupted in brilliance. Every sound vanished. The light from the child spread outward in perfect rings, racing across the dunes, up through the clouds. Nathan felt his mind stretch, every thought pulled toward the glow. He saw memories that weren't his oceans of crystal cities, beings of light building the first worlds, their voices singing across time. And within that vision, a single thread bound him to the child. Not human, not alien, just family. When the light faded, the sky was empty. No ships, no fire, only quiet. Nathan fell to his knees, exhausted, the child still glowing faintly in his arms. Alira stared in disbelief. "They're gone," she whispered. "No wreckage, no energy trail. Nothing." Nathan looked up at the now peaceful sky. "They're not gone," he said softly. "They were shown something they couldn't fight." The child reached up, touching his face with tiny fingers. Its voice, when it spoke, was both gentle and vast. "Daddy safe. World safe." Then it smiled a small human smile and rested its head against him. Nathan felt warmth spread through his chest, a calm he hadn't known since Earth. Alira approached quietly. "What happens now?" He looked out over the horizon where dawn met the desert. "I take care of it," he said simply. "No labs, no armies, just a home." She nodded, understanding. "The network is awake now. Whatever that child did, it linked with every human relay on this planet. You might have just ended a war before it began." Nathan didn't answer. He was watching the child sleep again, tiny breaths sinking with the rhythm of the wind. For the first time, the world felt alive. Not mechanical, not owned, alive. That night, as stars shimmered above Lasara, a soft whisper drifted through the air, not from any speaker or device, but from the network itself. Across every colony outpost, every screen, a voice echoed in dozens of languages, one word shared between species. "Father." Nathan closed his eyes and smiled. He finally understood the prophecy, the one the Guardian's echo had spoken. Protect the voice that calls you father. For through it, two worlds will meet again, and as the child's small hand gripped his, the horizon glowed with quiet light, the birth of a new dawn, where alien and human hearts beat as one. The end.